Hello, welcome to Rise and Shine Yoga, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. I'm glad you're here. Welcome. It's time for another special request, and today we have a request for a foam roller. So if you have a foam roller available, great. Welcome. Bring it to class. It can be a long one. It can be a short one. It can be whatever color, style, whatever you got going on. It can be one that's I've seen things that blow up, things that fold out, things that do all sorts of stuff. So this is the one that I have available to me. So this is what I'm going to use today. If you don't have a foam roller, I don't know anything off the top of my head that you might have available in your house, other than maybe a piece of big pipe. But if you don't, I would suggest maybe finding another workout video for today. By all means, check out Jessica's Yin from a couple days ago. Check out the express yoga for this week, something like that. So you probably will need this prop today. So I figured it'd be a good idea to do it via the video, so you can know in advance as compared to coming to the Yoga Express and finding out that you don't have the prop that you need. So, and that is our plan for today. So you may hear some cracks and groans and creaks from my body and my back, and you may have to hear them from your body too. So that's the plan for today. Make sure you have your comfy clothes. Make sure you have your mat or your blanket on the ground. You have your space. You have your water, all that jazz, all the regular stuff. So to start out with, we're going to do what we normally do, and we're just going to sit and be in ourselves for a minute. So I'm just going to just straddle it and sit on it and get comfortable. You definitely can sit any other way you do want. I just like having that space. So I'm not putting pressure directly on my heels. That's what's comfortable for me. What's comfortable for you? So I am going to, as always, give you minutes to just kind of be in yourself, and I'm just going to stare nice and softly out into the wonder of my mess behind the camera, and just kind of breathe in and be in myself. I'm going to worry about breathing in, obviously, through my nose or my mouth, depending on what the situation is for today. Deep breath down through the chest, into the belly, out, back in, and back up. So that's my plan. I'm going for 2 minutes here, and I'm going to put my shoulder back. Do the whole thing. You know by now what to do. So, and if you don't, do what feels good to you. All right, let's take a few more breaths together. And let's start to move around a little bit. Foam rolling, if you haven't done it before. This may be a little too intense because, do it for 45 minutes, because you are going to be putting a lot of pressure on your body, physical pressure. So if you imagine your back and like a muscle tightening up is like this big like knot, by you putting that pressure of your body and the foam roller on it, you're just basically just kind of spreading that apart. How like a massage therapist would kind of dig in and work out those kinks and those knots, we're going to use our own body and gravity and the foam roller to do that for ourselves. So if you're used to it, you very much know I don't want to say pain because it's the intensity that it involves, and you get excited about it, you crave it, and you're like, I need that. If you're not, it can be a little too much off the gate. So come in, come out, do what you feel like you need to do. The more weight you put on, obviously the more intense it's going to be, so you can take that pressure off. That's not a problem. But if there's ever like a very sharp, like this really hurts, 100% back off, okay? So this is going to be you and me foam rolling for like 40 minutes together. Wonderful. All right, so we're going to start on the next piece, the foam roller. And let's bring ourselves seated on the ground. And I'm just going to bring that foam roller right underneath my knees. So mine obviously might be a little longer than yours or not. But I'm just going to bring those underneath my knees and relax. So I'm going to sit up nice and tall. I'm going to roll the shoulders back and down. And the other way. And let's turn the head. We're not going to do some really small muscle groups like the neck with the foam roller. And switch, only because it's a little harder to do on camera. It's a big prop for a little body part. Come back, look down. People use golf balls, cross balls, tennis balls, things like that to get into the smaller little crevices of the body. And then point that chin up and out, but the concept still remains the same. All right, really sad. So let's start out with some calves. So we're going to bring that roller all the way down to our right above our ankles. And what we're going to do is we're going to point and we're going to flex those feet. And you can do circles here. You can move any type of motion you want. You can bring those feet as wide or as narrow as you want. I would go a little bit on the wider side so you don't hit your feet against themselves. And you're going to kind of feel that pressure. So when I point my toes, I feel one type of pressure. When I flex those feet, I feel a different type of pressure. It's when those muscles are contracted and relaxed, you feel a difference. So if you get to a spot where you feel a little bit more intense pressure than another, you're going to hold it there. And as long as it's not too uncomfortable, I want you to hold it there until that pain or that intensity subsides. So if I feel, now I can come up a little bit higher or a little lower, I can kind of find if we're going to be messing around and playing here, and everyone's going to be a little different. Let's go from about mid kind of calf down to the right above the ankle. So that's kind of where our play spot is here. So if I'm like, oh, I feel some tightness right there, I'm going to hold it there and wait till it dissipates. Now, if that's not enough pressure for you because you're used to foam rolling, you're doing foam rolling a lot, and you really have some things to physically work through muscle-wise, you can cross one leg over the other, so you have more physical weight on that leg. So obviously, just the weight of your one leg, now you have the weight of the two legs on that space. So play around here. Is it something that you really feel like you can kind of work through things a little easier with that extra weight, or is that too much? So you can decide. And then the other way around too, if you want to go even more, lift that body up off the ground. So now your weight is on the part of the body that's on the foam roller and your hands. So it's a lot more intense. So figuring out where the intensity lies is going to help a lot. Okay, so hopefully that's feeling a little good. And let's come up now to the more meatier part of the calf. So immediately it's going to feel different because we have more muscle here, more fat here than we do at our ankles. So, but still point and flex those feet. Feel the difference. It may not be as intense, but you still can feel it. And adjust, figure out what works well for you and what doesn't. And remember, at any point in time, you can 100% back off completely. And just either wait till we get to the next section or just start going to the next section. Working your way up those legs nice and slow. So it's not all about the movement here. It's finding the points and then weeding out that pressure different. So if you see me stop and hold, that's where I need to stop and hold. It doesn't necessarily where you need to stop and hold. And then I'm going to move myself up. So usually my lower legs aren't too bad, but I am not wearing high heels. I'm wearing sneakers all the time, and that's just my personal preference and the fact that I don't think wearing heels in the gym is probably the best way to demonstrate a squat or something. Although squatting in heels are definitely feel different. Okay, so now that I've done from pretty much my knees down to my ankles, I'm gonna go cross over that knee. So I'm not going on the right at the back of the knee because that's just not comfortable. And now I'm gonna slowly work myself up from my knees to right below my hips. We're not gonna go on the glutes yet. So this is where things can be a little bit more challenging. You start getting some more knots and things. So I'm gonna go between here and about here and find those positions so I'm still gonna have both legs on the foam roller, as in I'm not turning onto my side yet. So I can still cross one leg over. In fact, I think I'm going to. But I'm not going up on my glutes yet, and I'm not turning on my side or anything. And obviously making sure you're doing both sides. Both sides might not need the same amount of adjustment, but you're never gonna know unless you try it out. So we're gonna do all of the back part of our body first before we move on to the sides and front. If you're doing this in your own gym time, you're gonna bounce to the areas that you know need it, the areas that you've worked, etc. Okay, so now let's get into those meaty glutes. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my behind right on that foam roller, and I just like to bring my feet in first and kind of do like a squat here. Let's bring those arms in front. I can bring those arms inside the thighs or outside. Come to a prayer position. And this is a great modification for if you're doing kind of a low squat move in class. You can 100% use a foam roller here. If you don't have a box or a block or a pillow or something like that, and you can bring those feet out nice and wide. And I'm just gonna lean on in with the support of the foam roller underneath me and bring my hands into prayer. I'm gonna then push those legs apart. So let me demo it this way. So I'm here, my hands are here, and I'm physically pushing those knees away. I'm gonna take 6 nice deep breaths here. And release. Hopefully, you got a nice stretch in that inner thigh. We'll go back to that inner thigh in a couple minutes, but when you get into yoga poses, we love them. Let's do them. So now I'm going to lean back. I'm going to cross one leg over the other, and I'm going to work out the right glute or the left glute, and just kind of rock a little side to side and front to back. And this is one that I do every day without fail. 100% once, but sometimes 2 or 3. I find that if I get kind of hip pain or I'm driving in a car a lot, working this, feels so good. And you can lean forward or back, put as much or as little weight as you want. You can work that core a little bit, lift those legs off the ground. We're still working on the foam roll part, but sometimes you just need that extra weight. And you can even go close to a wall and put the feet up against a wall so you have the support so you're not bouncing, wiggling all over the place. but you have the additional weight. All right, and then once side A is done, let's go on to the other side. So I'm crossing the other leg over. I'm actually surprised I didn't get a big pop. I usually do. All right, and then I'm going to put both feet back on the ground and then go kind of right the lowest part of my spine, kind of tailbone, sacrum area. And if I want to go side to side again, I totally can. Cross the leg over, totally can. And now we're going to get into the bigger part of our back. So I'm going to bring the foam roller back here, and I'm going to go left, right, up, down, find my spots until I get to about mid-back, kind of right below my shoulder. And that's kind of what we're going to play around with right now. So I'm going to put my super awesome put on. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head, and I'm going to go from here to about here. And find a spot, hold it there. And sometimes you can literally feel it release, which is awesome. You can also, if you want to, if you don't want your hands behind your head, totally valid. You can bring those arms and give yourself a big hug, which can kind of help stretch some of the skin of your back. And you can rock those knees side to side. Find your play here. Your body will know what things you need to do to either add or subtract. There we go, some good cracks. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn things a little diagonal so we can kind of get into the shoulders a little bit. So I'm just going to go, instead of just here, I'm just going to diagonalize it a little bit. And I'm going to lean into that shoulder now. I don't do my shoulders a lot, so I'll tell you that this pressure is a lot for me, so I'm going to back off a little bit. That's totally fine. I can have this hand behind my head. So if I was, you can't really see that, if I was doing this arm, I'd have my hand behind my head, or I can bring my arm across my chest, whatever I need to either stretch those muscles or shorten those muscles. And then I'm just going to turn and do the other side as well. Obviously, if your foam roller is shorter than mine, you will have to readjust. It's one thing I do enjoy about the longer one, but I definitely have a shorter one. I have a long one down here and a short one upstairs. All right, and release. If you want to grab some water here, totally a great time. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go into another yoga posture. We're going to turn our foam roller this way. We're going to put our spine right on top of it with our arms out to the side. We're going to hold that for couple breaths. So when you're ready, you want that head supported. I'm going to bring my arms out to the side, and I'm going to let the weight of gravity open those pectoral muscles. Now, if I feel like I have a really good base of support, I can adjust how close my legs are in or out. I can even bring my feet together and open those knees to the side and open those arms to the side. So I have my arms to help stabilize me, so I won't be rocking around too much. But the priority here in this one is opening up those chest muscles. So if you don't think you can have a good base of support here, adjust the feet so they are. So I'm starting out with my arms roughly 9 and 3. Taking a few seconds here, really taking some good deep breaths and letting the muscles, setting the breath to those muscles, and letting it, if it can, kind of drop into place, let it. And then I'm just gonna bring my arms a little bit farther down. So we're just basically gonna go through a whole kind of gamut of the clock here. You can decide how fast or how slow. If you get to an area where you're like, oh, I'm feeling like nothing down here, it's not really working for me, you can go a little faster in those areas. I definitely would spend some time at 6 o'clock, and you can adjust your feet so you don't, not as wiggling. Definitely would spend some time at 6, definitely would spend some time at 12, even if you don't feel like those are really good spots for activation for you, because you're just kind of balancing that point differently. And then if you haven't already gone to the other side, the top angles, that's where I struggle. And if your hands and wrists don't touch the ground, that's fine. You can just kind of slide your weight a little bit to one side, you kind of get a good stretch on that side, and then go to the other side. And if you don't have enough room like me, I'm just going to cross my arms over. Not as preferred, but I'll run out of space otherwise, to get to my noon o'clock, 12 o'clock. So spend a little bit of time here. Let's spend 5 more breaths kind of playing around, adjusting, and then we're going to go on to our sides. I always feel really good after yoga, but I'm going to feel really good after this one. Okay. Making your way gracefully off your foam roller. All right, I want to go on to the sides of our body. So this one is not weird. Nothing is ever weird, but it may be a little bit more intense. So you can adjust, because you probably aren't doing, obviously, some of these exercises. All right, so I'm going to turn my foam roller this way. I'm going to start. Let's start up high. So we're going to do right down here. So, and here. So you may not need a lot of stuff going on, because these muscles aren't usually stretched in this way. So I'm going to, and I'm just going to knock out a little bit of diagonal for space, and I'm going to bring that foam roller basically up and down the inside of my arm, finding the spots that need it. You probably won't need a lot of extra body weight pushing on those. If you do, you can definitely lift those hips up, not a problem. And if you need less weight, use this other arm for stability and assistance. And remember, we're going forward and back, finding those kind of spots. And we're also going left to right, so we're moving that arm this way and that way. This is where you can get into some of those really more intense muscles, which means, number one, maybe you need to foam roll in these areas a little bit. But it's a slow process, so don't feel like you're a failure if you can't make it all the way through. No problem whatsoever. All right, so then we're going to go down the side of our body here. So same thing, working into the upper side body and working our way all the way down to that hip. So taking your time. And then finding what works and finding what doesn't work. That's just as important as finding out what works. You haven't crossed over that hip yet, so don't go too far. All right, now we're getting into that hip and glute. So I enjoy this one as well. So basically going from right about here to right about here. So you can cross your leg over however you like. When I'm doing this on my own kind of faster time, I'll do that laying on our back, doing that kind of figure 4 stretch, really stretching out the back of the glutes. Then I'll go right into these sides and just kind of bob back and forth. All right, so now we're gonna go over the top of the thigh into the IT band. And there's definitely pros and cons and different thought processes about foam rolling your IT band. But I think as long as you're not spending an hour on it, I think kind of working out some of that more tight muscle is not going to be a bad thing. So the same thing, going up and down and rotating that thigh in and out. And if it gets to the point where you're just like, it's too much, just move on. You tried it, you worked out what you needed to, and then you're moving on. Ooh, it's tight today. And I'm gonna cross over that knee and then just do the side of my calf. We went to Deerfield Fair yesterday, because obviously I'm recording this in advance, and we did a lot of walking. So I can feel it. And then we did lots of classes this week. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. You can just turn your body in case the other way. I'm just gonna do it this way just so I can stay the camera. All right, so we're going from that side of the arm all the way to the armpit. And then we're going armpit down to the hip. What are your thoughts about fair food? There's I really was craving fried dough, that type of family of foods. And I had some, and it was delicious, don't get me wrong. But it was a lot more greasy than I remember it being. But then I found a vendor that was selling vegan whoopie pies, and I hadn't had a whoopie pie in years because I can't handle dairy anymore. And so I was very excited to see the whoopie pie, and I ate it, and it was delicious. All right, making it to the hip. So what's something that you just can't not get? Or what's something that you thought you really liked and then you hadn't had it in a while and you're like, it's okay. All right, making it, crossing that hip. Let's get into that lower body. And one side's gonna feel 100% different than the other. You always are like, oh, I got this, and then you switch it over to the side, and you're like, ooh, I don't got this anymore. Remember, we're stopping every once in a while and really letting those knots kind of dissipate. All right, and then lower leg. All right, so we did the back of the body. We did the sides of the body. So you guys know what's next is the front of the body. So there's a little bit of some weird ones coming, but it's all good. No one can see us. All right, so release. If you want to grab a drink of water, this is a great time. Probably have another 10 minutes left or so of this rolling. All right, so we're gonna start out from the legs. So we're gonna do the fronts of the calves and into the quads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay on my belly and bring the roller underneath my shins. Now the shins, obviously there's not a lot of meat to that, so you can, that one happens pretty quickly. So you can I usually just put the foam roller underneath and just kind of lift up my thighs. That's usually enough pressure for me. But I also want to make sure that I'm doing the whole thing, so I just kind of walk it down. And the same thing was before. I'm pointing and flexing my feet, and I'm going in and out. So I'm internally and externally rotating my ankle. So that means I'm kind of going like this with my ankle. Ankle / low legs, shins. So that one's pretty simple, straightforward, not a lot of stuff going on. And then I'm going to bring that foam roller closer to me, and I'm going to go above above the knee, not on the knee, never on the knee. So now we're into our quads. So these are we got some meat here, so we can play. So we're going from the above the knee to kind of right above the groin, and same thing, finding the spots that you need to, adjusting, putting more weight on the ground, putting less weight on the ground. You decide what you need. And we are bringing those legs super far apart. We're bringing those legs super close together, and we are turning those thighs in and turning those thighs out. So I'm going to have a little bit of time to play here because the quads are big. 4 muscles in each leg make up the quadricep, which makes sense, quad. And everyone obviously is going to feel things a little different. I'll just give you time to play. And I should have mentioned this 20 minutes ago, but never hold your breath. You can say bad words to yourself, you can sing a song, you can count to 10, whatever it happens to be, but don't hold your breath. All right, up next we have the inner thigh. So what we're going to do is we're going to come off the foam roller. We're going to turn the foam roller that way. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll up and down the inner part of the thigh here. So what I'm going to do is if I'm laying here, I'm going to pop one leg out here, and I'm going to roll back and forth here in this direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of get in there. We're going to take a second, get comfortable, for lack of a better word, and then when you find a kind of a spot that you feel like you can, we're just going to we're going to breathe, and we're going to just stay here for a couple seconds, and then we'll do the other side. It's going to be in a odd posture for a couple seconds, but it will help, I promise. All right, so laying down on, and then we're just going to find the spots that work and find the spots that don't. And if you'd rather do more of an angle for the foam roller as compared to just straight up and down, that's totally fine too. You can go as close to the pubic area as you'd like, or as far away. Everyone's anatomy is different, so everyone's foam rolling will look different. All right, so we're going to kind of get a couple more seconds here, and then we're going to get into our meditative space. I kind of think of this as the opposite of a pigeon. We can call it turkey if you want. Think of it as an opposite of a pigeon. Pigeon flies, a pigeon's small. Turkeys are larger and they don't fly as often or as far. So we'll call it a turkey. All right, so I'm going to find the position that works for me. I'm going to bring my arms down. I can have a pillow or a block or something here. And let's spend 5 breaths here. We're literally relaxing that hip. Picking yourself up nice and slow, and then just going right over to the other side right away. More seconds here, and then we'll go into our self-proclaimed turkeys. All right, and come into position. 5 nice slow breaths. And then coming on out. All right, we have one more stretch to do, and that's going to be our pectoral. So the same kind of idea of doing it the inner thigh, we're going to do it with our pecs. So the idea is to go right in here. I kind of do it at an angle and just go up and down as wide or as narrow as suits me. So kind of like when we were on our side and we were going here, we're going to go onto our side and we can just kind of roll. And obviously, depending on your anatomy, you will have more or less places to roll, totally fine. So we're going to just give a little bit of time for both sides here. So I'm going to position the roller. I have it front to back here. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it a little bit, and I'm going to lean on in. And I can decide how much or as little my weight is on the roller. And just go up and down, really getting that armpit chest area just a little bit differently. And if you have the ability to roll farther on, by all means, please do so. Once you decide that that side is accepting of the foam rolling that you gave it, and you don't want to do anymore, flip on over to the other side, and the same thing. And then when you're ready, release. Okay, so we've done all the main body parts that I was planning on doing today. So what we have now is we have a little bit of play. So I just like to give a good, just one more roll over my back just to get any kinks or crinkles out that I need to. If there's a body part that you normally foam roll that we didn't do in class today, there are more body parts, of course. So we're gonna give about 2 minutes or so to do your thing, and then we're gonna go into our Shavasana. So you can set up for that if you want to use the foam roller as part of your Shavasana. I think what I'm gonna do is use it as a way to prop my feet up, to do feet up Shavasana style. Totally fine. Or you can just be like, I'm done. We did a lot of foam rolling, Jen. I appreciate it, but I'm done. Just throw it, and then just get into your regular pose or posture. All right, so 2 minutes, and then we're off. Okay. This is also a great time to grab water. Okay, so if you're not heading towards your Shavasana, this is the time that you want to do some. And saying this is what feels good for me today, just to kind of just stick with the whole theme and just go for it. But you definitely do not have to do so. And if this class was obviously different, if you enjoyed it, you're like, oh, we've done the yoga for using no wrists, no hands. We've done the yoga for fibromyalgia. We're doing the foam roller, full body adventure of today. Let me know what you want to see. Nice. We're wiggling those fingers and those toes wherever they are. And I'm going to remove my prop. I'm going to hug those knees on a rock them back and forth. And I'm going to turn those knees to the side and use my upper body to push myself up. I'm going to grab behind those knees and I'm going to turn that head and I'm going to do some neck circles. I'm going to go the other way. And I'm going to come back to the center. I'm going to slowly open my eyes and get ready to start the rest of my morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you so much for joining me for Morning, and I'll see you later.